I accidentally pushed stop on my last video, so this will be part 2. But it's learning to trust in yourself, and not being deceived by the beings on this planet. Um, it even says in the Bible, about the fallen angels, and on how about the perceived Satan, and it talks about beings that dwell under the ground, under the earth, the perceived hell. And you have to look deeper into that. You have to look past Western teachings, and then you also have to look into mythology. Talking about the underworld, the beings that lived underground. There, all the information is right there. And you have to discover it. And once you discover that, when you meditate, and how you can astral travel, and how you can discover more information, gain information from your temple, you'll find out that there is tons of different beings on this planet right now that are advanced in their way of, about telekinesis, so on and so forth. I mean, they have beings that communicate with people telepathically to manipulate people. They have these beings do this 24/7, all the time. Unless if you discover this, you're not going to know. But this whole game is built to a T, but once this veil is lifted, their hold is going to be gone. But until then, they still have a hold on it, and you have to discover this for yourself. You got these supposed teams that are making videos, light workers or whatever, that are going around grid to grid to grid to grid, saying, oh, we turn this grid on, so now there's more. They perceive that they've changed the consciousness flow of it. And I talked about this in one of my videos. I don't know, it was a pretty recent video. But, you can change the consciousness stream, no matter where if you go to a location, that's at a higher frequency base, they're kind of like pinpoints, you can look this stuff up for yourself. Like, I'm trying to think, like Snake Way, just, different sites are like location points, and there are guardians there and so on and so forth. But the thing is, just because you go there and cleanse it, doesn't mean other people aren't going there as well, or other beings, or multidimensional beings. Those locations are being changed constantly, always. And that's what this Team Light isn't telling you about, or they're not aware of it. I mean, there's a chance that they just may not be aware of it. But as soon as you leave that location, other beings go and repair whatever may have been done to it. Unless if you go to the source, get rid of the guardian, and create new guardians, that rift or that shift in the multidimensional stream of consciousness there is going to keep shifting always. It's not going to stay the same. It's not lighting up the planet, so to speak. But it's a lot more depth to it than that. It's quite hard to explain. It really is. But you have to look beyond what it is. Just how much this game. It's just, like I said, there's so many layers to this. This is why you have to discover your multidimensional part of your being, so then you can become aware of how this works. It's not just point A to point B to point C. It's point A to point Z, and then to point ultra, looking beyond the alphabet. It's totally looking beyond. It's a huge, huge structure. That is just unfathomable. I don't even know what to even say about it. But it's huge. And this is where I'm talking about, that you have to trust in yourself, not trust what other people are doing on their paths, because it's their own individual paths. You can, like I said in other previous videos, you go into the Earth's consciousness, no matter where you're at, whether you go to these points or whether you're in your backyard, you can tap into the consciousness length of this unity stream, because whatever planet you're on, it is still a unity consciousness. And the reason why it seems like it's not united is because we're experiencing the individuality of each little individual being. Just like with germs and viruses in a person. It's the same thing. Each individual germ and virus can be good or bad, hence antibodies. You know, it's a whole different thing. We're like the germs and antiviruses of the earth, you know, but as a whole, we are a unity consciousness on this planet, or on this being, because the earth is a being of itself. So, so you have to always look beyond, like I say, always look beyond, because nothing is what it seems, and nothingness is key. So, yeah. Let's see, what else? Yeah, you know, after watching these two-part videos that I made here, just meditate on what I've said and look into it. Like I said, don't put your trust in what I say is truth, but just observe it as, observe it, look into it, meditate on it, observe upon it, look into all the possibilities, all the hints and tips that have been laid out throughout um, humanity's history, whether it's truth or false. Still look into it, and it will give you some doors that you can open to explore, so then you can discover how this matrix works, because this matrix is very complex, and yet it is one of the simplest matrix systems that a spiritual being or a consciousness stream can experience. So, it gets much more complex the higher up you go into your consciousness stream. So this is actually the easiest one. So you can just imagine how, as you advance in consciousness, how much more um, puzzles and mysteries you have to solve to gain, to, you know, go and experience another higher state of consciousness. So, yeah, it's quite interesting. But I think I'll go ahead and end this um, part 2 video. If you got questions, let me know. Like I said, this is just what I've discovered. And, I'm always learning and growing. I'm always looking beyond. I never settle just for something, because I know there's so much more to the story than what is discovered. And, I'm encouraging you guys to view and observe life in that way as well. Like I said, nothing is what it seems. And that is key. So, yeah. So, if you got questions, let me know. Just let me know your thoughts and your viewpoints on things. Um, and also just think of where you're getting your information from. Look at yourself and see, you know, see your journey, see your path, and see, how your path has started, and have you started to just trust in yourself? Are you still focusing on what humanity has taught you? Because humanity has made sure, the people who are in control of this matrix right now, till this veil is broke, is they absolutely trying to make sure that there was plenty of information to keep you away from discovering and looking within yourself. They made sure there was as much outside information to keep you focused on something, keep you focused on a book, keep you focused on something outside yourself, to keep you away from discovering um, your true being, discovering yourself, because that's key, is discovering everything within and then reflecting that without. So, okay, I'll go ahead and end that video. But yeah, like I said, if you've got questions, let me know. Yeah. So, anyways, I love y'all very much. I truly do love y'all. And I'm here just to aid you and help you look beyond um, the teachings of humanity and um, and people who may try to deceive you, but you may not become aware of it. So, anyways, love y'all very much. 13 love to y'all, and I'll talk to you in a little bit.